Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host, Chantele Francis, here with my co-host, Mel B, to talk to our faithful frenemies, Kevin and Lauren from the Traitors Canada Season 2. Kevin and Lauren, how are you doing today?
Good.
Yeah.
No, I feel like we're on like one of those Love is Blind reunions where we're like, well, this is the first time we've seen each other.
Yeah, I feel
Uh,
like I feel like guilt a little bit, but I also feel like excited to see you and chat about it a little bit.
oh my God, you're so funny. Why do you feel guilt?
I think I've been asked about you so much the last day and a half, so I think I'm just like used to talking about it. Um, I was so like watching it back, I realized I'm sure you agree, like they can only show so much. And we had such a friendship throughout the whole thing that
Mhm.
even on camera we had such a good friendship, and I just can't show that, right? Because we're at each other, like we're pointing at each other. So it's just funny to watch back, and that was kind of a half truth when I watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're friends, like we're real friends. And I think that that was, to give context, an immediate thing that we felt. I think
Hmm.
that it's like, almost as if we could have crossed paths through work in other contexts and so have so much in common. Um, and yeah, I know we can't talk too much about what wasn't shown, but of course we film for like hours and hours and hours and hours a day, and it gets whittled down to 43 minutes. And um, there's some like smiles and nods in there that you can
Yeah.
see, like us having fun, but they made the most of the frenemy edit for sure.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I
enjoyed watching it.
definitely was calling you, a platonic Mr. and Mrs. Smith. You guys are circling each other, and you guys wanted to work together, but like you had your eye on each other. So I definitely could see the friendship that you guys
Mhm.
had between each other, and you wanted to work together, get to the end with each other, but just didn't trust each other in the game, and that's
Yeah.
okay because Trader makes you paranoid.
So I need to explain a little bit. So first of all, I had this, and this is my fault. I had like a producer head on thinking, okay, who would I pick to be the traders? And my number one choice on day one was Lauren and Melinda. I said, if I was going to pick two traders that I want to see every day in the conclave, and also who's on the chair, like doing their plans, I'm like, those two would be perfect. So
Well,
it was
I need
that.
to get you in a casting room, many a casting room vouching for me then, because I know how hard you really believed in that.
So I think I got kind of one track mind, but then there was a point also where I wasn't sure, but I kind of crossed the line where there was no returning, because if you were a trader at the end, I shouldn't be flipping back, so I would be, egg on the face. But also once you kind of teed up Melinda for me and she was a faithful, I thought, did I just kind of do a little bit of a trader's dirty work? And that's the part where I said, this is at least killing two birds with one stone. If she's not a traitor, there's no way they're going to murder one of us when we're going at each other. And if she is a traitor, maybe she's keeping me safe. So it was kind of like I even talked to Netta a little bit about it the other night when we were watching the show. She said, we were not even talking about you and Lauren because you guys were just doing this all
I
the time.
know.
She's like, I didn't even want to bring you guys out.
And Kevin and I have talked since the show, and he was telling me, like, him and Astrid were talking about it, and they had said, and it resonated with me when he told me, like, we kept ourselves safe, I think, with this
Mhm.
whole
Yeah.
ordeal, because it was really down to Kevin and I being traitors up until the end, right? Like, Netta was worried in the last episode about Kevin amassing votes, and I was doing a lot of work that day to get Kevin out. And so it was really the distraction, I think, that allowed for what happened to happen.
So let's go back to the beginning when you get to the manor. Kevin, like I know you from Bachelor Nation, Bachelor in Paradise Canada, and bartender. Like, did you recognize anybody when you got there? What was your familiarity with some of the other people that were cast?
I knew Netta, but I didn't know I'd ever watched her on TV before. So I knew because I was like familiar with the reality Canadian scene, I guess. But I didn't know. I just knew she was on Big Brother. And then I just had a few familiar faces, but I didn't. It was pretty fresh for me. It was kind of nice. Like I couldn't tell you anything about anybody on day one, except for Enoch. I actually knew Enoch because I followed the
Oh,
CFL.
okay,
Like that,
that's
that was the
cool.
only one I knew him from TV, but that was it.
And Lauren, did you know anybody? You recognize any faces?
Melinda from Drag Race, and I think that was it. Yeah, it's sweet that you knew Enoch, because I know you guys are friends, like, genuinely now. I didn't know that. That's really
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I know you. You're football. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah. He was too cool on day one though. He's like, yeah, It
And
was good.
Lauren, you were saying that you would hope that Kevin would be, in a casting room to get you in as a traitor. Is that the role that you wanted to play in this game?
Oh no, I mean, like, he is saying that, like, he was thinking like a producer. Okay, she'd be a good traitor, and then he believed it so wholeheartedly that he spent his entire season trying to take me out. I need agents like this, people. I need people who believe in me this much. If Real Housewives of Toronto is casting, get Kevin Went in that
Yeah.
room talking about me, please, for the love of God.
Yes, we need another Real Housewives of Toronto or Vancouver. That'd be pretty fun.
Yeah. So Kevin,
Man,
what about
your
yourself?
lips to God's ears. Sorry, go ahead, Mel.
No, sorry. I was just gonna say, Kevin, what about yourself? When you were preparing for the show, did you want to be cast as a traitor? Was that something you wanted, or did you want to be a faithful?
So my wife was convinced I would be picked as a traitor. She was like prepping me up for this because she was a super fan. Like I had never watched one episode until I was cast, and then I watched all of them for the month leading up. And she was like, "You're gonna 100% be like a Cody. Like they're gonna pick you. You're going to be a traitor. Like we have no doubt." So when I wasn't selected, I was very relieved, first of all, and like I was very like, okay, now I can just be myself for the next however many days and just try to get far. And I think it was that first night when I realized, okay, I got to do this as a faithful. I came up with the game plan thinking there's an avenue to win this game, no matter who you are, no matter what position you're in. You just have to find it. And looking back and watching the whole show now, I realized I had a pretty good avenue. I had like Lauren as a bit of a distraction from the real traders, because I was so sure it was her. And I had a really good relationship with Michael John, with Netta, even with Kira. And there was a point when I was asked recently, like, were you annoyed by how many people were calling you the worst faithfuls ever? And I said, you know what, Kira, I didn't listen to one thing Kira said about Michael John because I didn't care that he was a traitor. I had lunch with him every day. He used to say I was a safety net for him because he was so nervous on the show. He's like, I like that you're here. So I'm thinking, if Kira's right, why do I want to get rid of him? He's never going to go up to the conclave and say, I want Kevin out. So I think as a faithful, I tried to do more of the, let's just look at everybody at the end of the day and picture, will they murder me or will they banish me? I don't care what they are. I'm just curious if I think they would do either. And I think that was my strategy after I was chosen as a faithful.
That's the right way to play it. I really believe, like, if you're going to get to the end of that game, speaking from someone who didn't, that would be the way to do it. You got to make sure that you're safe from being murdered. You want enough suspicion so that you're not murdered, but not too much that you're banished. And then also to have a good read on who the traitors really could be, so that when you get to that fire, you can make those, right decisions and hopefully win.
And just one more point. I don't know if Lauren would agree with this, but I did think long and hard. If we were to have got, say, Netta out early on, like say on like day 3 or day 4, and I was close with Enoch, I was close with Aaron, I was close with Cedric, and then they recruited one of them, my whole strategy is just blown up, because now I'm thinking, well, Aaron's talking a little different today. Like he'd be a good recruit, and it would throw me for a loop. Actually, the more faithfuls we got out, the more like calm I was, because I knew they were there. I knew they were there somewhere. Well, Lauren was one for sure, but I just, but I knew
Lauren's a fucking traitor, he said.
So we've now learned that Netta has this 500-page document detailing how she wanted to play as a traitor and the different scenarios. Kevin, we hear that you watched a bunch of seasons. Lauren, did you do any prep work as if you were going to be a traitor?
Okay, I didn't do prep work, but while I was there, I had a notebook. I counted one of my points at a table that I don't think got aired was that I had 60 pages of notes written from the time I was there. And my dearest traitorous Kevin said some comment like, I don't take notes. And I was like, red flag. Like if you're so comfortable, how could you be so comfortable? But obviously, he was confident and had his like strong feelings and was super observant. There's a moment in the show, watching it back, which obviously is 2020, right? Where we had already broken trust for too many days in a row. I feel like if Kevin and I had had this conversation 2 days earlier, we could have repaired. But you remember standing outside by the long couch, not the pink couch where Jasmine yelled at Kirkland, the other one. And you were like, what if it's Netta? What if it's Netta? And I just was like not listening, because I was convinced that you were a traitor. But had we had that conversation, I think a few days earlier, might have been might have been a different outcome, honestly, because I realized at the fire that it was Netta and it was too late. Mm-hmm.
So Lauren, do you think that, like, was there a point in time where you changed your mind and thought that Kevin was a traitor? Because I remember at the very beginning that you were like, you know, we're going to be Leroy and Gerline, but I'm not going to betray him. Like we're going to the end and like, we're going to win as faithful. What happened between then and halfway through where you're like, this man is definitely a traitor?
Oh, you know what I should have done? I should have got the notebook. It's in there. I think that it was a few things, and part of that in hindsight is probably that he started to think that I was a traitor and the same of me. So we started to act in ways that were just giving confirmation bias to each other. And I thought that Kevin and Melinda were traitors. And this thing happened before breakfast one day, and I came in really like discombobulated and panicked and sad and confused. And it's the day that I come in and I'm like, I'm playing today. And I thought that they were traitors. And I looked across the room at them sitting together, and you and Melinda both didn't look back up after that. And I was like, oh my God, they were traitors. And then from there, it was like, it's so interesting because it must have been happening at the same time for you, because we both thought we were doing this plan to each other, where we thought the other, it sounds so silly in hindsight, where we thought the other one was a traitor and that we were a faithful, but that we were going to like play the traitor, but also by being in alliance together.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's all a mess now, but
well, what's funny
we were
is
clear
that
then.
There was a point where Netta told me that me and you, she thought for a moment that we did that on purpose, that we were so sure we were faithful that we're like, let's put some doubt on each other so that people will
You know what, Kev?
alone.
Let's go with that.
You did
Let's
that.
go with that.
Yeah,
That
sure.
was what you did.
And I said, no. I said, Netta, that's not what happened. I said, I thought 100% Lauren was a traitor. But at the end of the day, even going into that last day, I knew it was going to be, I woke up thinking either Lauren wins or I win. Like that's how I went into the day.
Yeah.
So when I made my plan, even with Cedric early on, I said, I couldn't even tell him what the plan was. I didn't want him to talk about it all day. I said, if you just help me get Lauren out, I promise you we will be at the end and Netta will be gone. I had this because it was the only day left, I knew everybody had to get wiped out.
Yeah. I feel like our game on the last day, was me or you. And to me, that's where my like energy stopped. Like I didn't care what happened at the fire. I was just like, just beat Kevin, just beat the boys. Yeah. That's honestly what I was thinking all day.
So Kevin, how did it feel when you kind of got outed for having a final two and at the round table and you're kind of like, oh, I'm telling the truth, but like, yes, I did say two different things to two different people or same thing to two.
Story.
You know what, if I would have told Lori that I told Trina that, which I should have, because in my head I did. So Lori was my number one. I had no checking in with her. I knew that me and her were never going to write each other's name down. And that was my fault for not checking in one more time on the last day. Because if I would have just told her, I told Trina I want a final two as well. When I told that to Trina, I don't know what happened between me and her. We just got a spark friendship out of nowhere. It was like the second half of the season that we just connected all of a sudden and we became like friends. And I said, I could see myself at the end with her. But in my head, I was thinking, if it's me, Lori, and Lauren, or correct me, Lori, and Trina, I'm happy with that ending. Similar to what Lauren just said, there's like an ending that you'd be happy no matter what. And I was thinking if us three were at the end and they voted me out and I was like, I'm a faithful and you both won anyway, I actually would have been okay with that. I just wasn't transparent enough I never have told Trina I had another final two, but I should have told Lori that I said that to Trina. That would have helped me a lot.
If there was a banishment of a traitor earlier on in the season, would either of you have wanted to be recruited? Like, or were you like dug your heels in, you're playing faithfuls forever?
Yeah, that was my plan. When I thought that was my whole plan, is when I thought Kevin and Melinda were traitors and Melinda was starting to say Kevin's name on that pink couch. You can rewatch the scene. I went to Kevin and I said, if you're up there in the conclave, you're not the one in control. And I think that you need to help get Melinda out. And then I say, like, almost verbatim, and then you could recruit a more like-minded traitor. And I mean, obviously it didn't work out that way, but how fun would it have been to have a recruitment this season? I'm kind of bummed that there wasn't one, because it throws this like extra wrench. And like Kev was saying, like, then you start looking at your friends and being like, are you being different? Da, da, da. And me, I would have enjoyed having a second perspective on the whole thing. And so I just think it would have been like delicious to be recruited or even to have seen a recruitment.
Yeah.
Did either of you have like a banishment or a murder that was most shocking to you that you just like really didn't see coming?
I feel like so the round table for me, I treated a little bit less like I know we're supposed to say it, and it's good versus evil is the premise of the show, but it's such a baby of a reality show. Like when we look back at this in 20 years, there's gonna be so many different winners that do so many different strategies. So I think at the round table, I was just kind of going with the crowd in certain ways because it's like, oh, people are ganging up here. Let's get them out. One less faithful is fine with me. But everything was kind of happening from breakfast on. We didn't really have a big shocking round table as much as other seasons have had. I think we kind of had the seeds planted early by somebody, and then the momentum just took us right till the round table.
A lot of groupthink in that way. Yeah, we spent every hour of the day, and I'm glad that it did show how important and integral the car rides were too, because the game was won in the car rides, I think.
Yeah, especially there at the end when there was like two separate sides, Netta on one and Kara on the other.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It's funny, Kevin and I both tried to drive that same car home. Do you remember? We both tried to drive the Trana Lori car home.
Okay. I just remember throwing up after that challenge.
Yeah, I know. I remember.
I was so
I think I brought you a pair.
Exerted. I was so exerted. That was not 10 minutes, by the way. I was digging
well, so
for a
I've been
long
explaining how hard the challenges are to people. And I've been saying it's a CrossFit challenge in 40-degree weather outside. You're in fall clothes, and 10 minutes of TV is at least 2 hours to film. Yeah. And so on the grave digging challenge, I said to Haley this week, Kev, I said, look how gassed he is, because there's a scene of you like sweating, huffing, puffing, and I'm smacking my girlfriend going, and he's a firefighter. Like it was hard. It was hard. So hard.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite challenge, one that you liked the most?
Lauren?
I do, but I think I'm mostly sad that I didn't get to go do the heights, like the bridge. I wanted to do that. Yeah.
Well, you guys were great though at being the callers, though. So
yeah, you guys.
Thanks. Was it as like? I guess we never really talked about the fun stuff. Like, was it scary? Were you scared?
I personally was, and I was really excited to do it. Like, it's
right.
Those harnesses are so foolproof. Like, they're so fun that I was trying to run across, and like the guy had to stop me. Be like, no, we're walking slow.
Yeah.
So we do like to end with some rapid fire questions. So I'm just going to name like a little statement, and then you can each just say which one of your fellow castmates you would put in that category.
Oh, okay.
So, who would you say was the most manipulative player? Lauren?
Netta.
Netta. Yeah, Netta. That's got to be Netta, yeah. Because she only knew, she talked when she had to, and that was it. That's a really good strategy.
Who was the loudest?
Cedric.
Cedric. They kept a line where I say that's the quietest he's ever been.
Yeah.
Who's the funniest?
Aaron and Cedric to me. They were both very funny. I know Lauren probably didn't get as much of Aaron, but he had this like soft spoken, like the office humor about him that just made me laugh all the time. And then Cedric is just a comedian, so I'll say Cedric. Lauren?
I think Trana.
Okay, yeah, she's really funny too. You're right. Yeah.
Which player would you like to invite to a dinner?
Lauren?
I'll say Kevin, and I won't poison the food.
Yeah.
Who's the most opinionated?
Me and Kevin.
Yeah, we were pretty opinionated.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go with that, yeah.
Which player would make the best spy?
Ooh.
Kira?
I would say Aaron again, actually.
Oh, actually, I'll do Aaron and Kira. Yes, I agree.
People thought he was like some of the.
We thought. Okay, wait. So, have you talked on the podcast with anybody about the landmine challenge and how those questions on the ground made us ruminate on these things for the entire season. Like, people are lying about their identity. Someone is not a job they say they are. Someone's a secret lawyer. Like, people thought Cedric thought I was a lawyer for days. We thought Aaron and Lori were related. We thought Aaron, because he had some work in corrections, he was a spy. Yeah. Anyways, not to ruin the rapid fire cadence.
Oh no, I just want to hear, what things that's been going on. So it's awesome. And lastly, who was the most trustworthy person in hindsight?
In hindsight is the word. I would say Lori until the end, but then like she just I knew, and this is just my personal experience, we had this very strange connection, almost like a nephew-aunt relationship from the go, that we were just talking all the time about personal stuff. And I think the hard part for me to watch back is I don't think there was one circumstance, even with recruitments or anything, that I could ever write Lori's name down. So I think she just had my trust from day one.
Amazing.
Lori for me too.
Aw.
Mrs. Mac.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's all the questions I have. Mel B, do you have any questions?
I don't really have any questions. I just want to say that you guys, your dynamic became my absolute favorite part of this season. Like, I think at one point I was like, I didn't have, Lauren and Kevin being my favorite characters and stealing the show on my Venmo. It did come across as a friendship. Like, I didn't feel like there was any kind of animosity between you guys. It felt like you were friends and you suspected each other. And it was almost like that Spider-Man, like pointing at each other.
Yes.
That, and it was just one of my favorite aspects of the season. So thank you for your paranoia, because
no problem, Mel.
No problem. Anytime.
And thanks for having us on together. This was really fun.
Absolutely. And if you have any last things that you want to say about your experience or to each other, you have the floor, or else we'll say goodbye.
I feel like Lauren, I was asked earlier who I'd want to see on any reality show, and Lauren was my pick. So I feel like, Lauren, I hope, and I'll help if I can, I want to see you on another show where maybe it's a different type of show, but I feel like I want to see you on reality TV again.
Yeah, likewise. I'm sure we'll be sharing a screen. I'm sure.
Ooh,
love you, buddy.
Yeah, love you too.
Amazing. Well, thanks for chatting with us. It was really nice to get to hear a little bit about your experience and your time on the Traitors Canada season 2. Amazing job.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
See you guys.